G'day guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to the review, of course, the last review of the 2024 season. And what a grand final it was for the Brisbane Lions. They absolutely smashed the Swans after the first quarter, and after a massive heartbreak in 2023, truly responded in emphatic style and are kings of the AFL. Brisbane, emphatic winners in the end. They won by 60 points, 120 to the Brisbane Lions, 60 to the Sydney Swans. Now, there was one injury from this game. It was Logan McDonald, who was subbed out just after half-time with an ankle injury, which is the one that he did suffer last week, which we'll get to a little bit in a minute. But to the game itself, it was a really intense start to this game, but the Lions did have a few opportunities early, but just missed their early chances. And on the counter, the Swans did kick the first 2 goals of the game. Now, Sydney did have a lot of territory for a bit there, but when the Lions got forward halfway through the term, they finally got a few goals and actually took the lead. And with Brisbane getting 4 of the last 5 goals of the opening term, at quarter time they did lead by 8 points. Now, both teams traded goals early in the second term, but then the Lions started to make their move halfway through the quarter. Brisbane kicked 6 goals in a row after the halfway point of the second term, and at halftime, the game was pretty much done after that absolute blitz from Brisbane, and were up by 46 points. Now, the Swans tried to get a run-and-gun game going after halftime, and Brisbane really didn't break away from Sydney until later in the third term, where they eventually put the game beyond doubt. Brisbane kicked the last 4 goals of the third term, and 3 of them were in the final 5 minutes of it to take a massive 73-point lead into three-quarter time. And the last quarter, it was pretty much the Lions just soaking up every last moment they could on the MCG. The Swans did win the final term, but it didn't mean anything, as the Lions were deserving winners. Brisbane won by 60 points in the end, and after a heartbreaking end to the 2023 campaign, they showed true guts and determination in the end, as they responded from that pain to become the 2024 premiers. So, what a season from Brisbane. They said in the call that they were 2-7 at one stage and were at 13th spot after the bye. So, from the Brisbane Lions to have changed their season around was absolutely amazing. Absolutely deserving winners of the 2024 premiership. They were brilliant. But on Sydney, I'm sure most of you know by now that I'm a Sydney Swans fan, that was heartbreaking. That was shocking from Sydney. After quarter time, they pretty much took the foot off the gas and the game was done by half time. I don't put it all on John Longmire, but I do think that there is some blame that he has to take. The fact that he let the game get out of hand in the space of about 10 minutes was not good enough. He saw what was happening. Everyone saw what was happening. That game was slipping away quickly, and he didn't make any changes until halftime when the game was done. He chucked Parker in the middle. He had some good moments in that third quarter and was obviously kicked 3 goals in the last quarter when the game was gone, but they didn't make the changes quick enough. And in the end, I'm not saying that cost them, but Sydney could have stayed close enough if they made some changes in time, and John Longmire simply didn't. He just let it roll over, and in the space of about 10 minutes, Brisbane killed the game. That 6-goal period was basically the end point for the Swans. And, you know, it was a great season from Sydney. They were on top for the majority of it, but on grand final day, they couldn't get it done. That is 4 grand final losses in a row now for the Swans, and it needs to be looked at because it is very disappointing that the Swans have ended their season like this. They lost by 60 points, and this isn't just another, smashing in the grand final. This is the 3rd out of 4. I know the Bulldogs, they were pretty close in that game and could have won it, but the other 3 games, they have been smashed in this basically a quarter. Most of them have been in the first, or most of them have been around the second quarter mark where the game has been shot. And Sydney need to seriously look at it and stop burying their heads in the sand, because that was very demoralising to watch as a Swans fan. Now, of course, a lot of people would sit there and say, at least you're making grand finals, and that's very true. Like, a lot of teams like Port Adelaide, who have been around the mark for a point, have not been able to make it. And, it's always good to see your team make the grand final. But when they get smashed, many times it is not a good look. But that is taking nothing away from Brisbane. They really put Sydney to the sword in that second quarter and put them away. Now, I did say it in the call when I was calling it on the stream that at the start of the final series, I said Brisbane could be the premiers, but they just have to start to kick straight. And there were some points in that game where they did miss a couple of opportunities, but at the end of the day, Brisbane put Sydney to the sword, and they are deserving winners. They had so many great role players, and they all played their role today, and the Brisbane Lions, again, are deserving winners of the 2024 Premiership Cup. So congratulations to Brisbane, to all the Brisbane fans out there. Soak this up. It was an amazing win from you guys. I'm sure from the heartbreak of last year, you've completely forgot about that because that was a great win from you guys. But let's move to the statistics of this game, of course. So looking at it, the top scorer in the end of the AFL fantasy front was Dane Zorko, led from the front. He was brilliant with the 127. Josh Dunkley, 124, was brilliant against Isaac Heaney in the first half. Lachie Neale with the 119. Will Ashcroft, the Norm Smith medalist, with the 109. Brody Grundy with the 101. And then Jared Berry with the 100. And now we get to the votes, the final votes giving for the final series. In the end, I had to give the 3 votes to Will Ashcroft, the Norm Smith medalist, 2 votes to Cal Archie, what a brilliant final series he had, and the 1 vote to Lachie Neale. But I do have to give a special shout out to Kyle Lohmann. He was really the one who got this started. He kicked 3 goals in the early stages of this game in the first half and ended up with 4 goals. So he did kind of taper off for a little bit, which is why he didn't get into the votes. But Kyle Lohmann, him, Cal Archie, so many role players that stood out, so many great stories for the Brisbane Lions. They are deserving winners again. I know I keep on saying it, but they are. But guys, finally, as we all have known, I've been doing the votes for the whole final series. So, of course, I've had to tally them up, and we're going to be having a Boundary Riders medalist for the finals. The BRF, I guess we'll call it, the BRF medal. So, the winner, or winners of the Boundary Riders medal are in fact 2 Brisbane Lions players, Dane Zorko and Will Ashcroft, with both having 6 votes. So congratulations to both of them. Will Ashcroft with the Norm Smith medal, of course, got 3 votes in that game to get himself to top. Dane Zorko, massive final series from him. Nearly got votes in this game as well, but just felt the 3 players that I mentioned deserved the votes in the end for that game. But brilliant from both of them. Both are deserving winners. We had Isaac Heaney in 3rd spot, equal with John Newcomb on 4 votes. Max Holmes, Sicily, Burgoyne with 3 votes. They were all from 1 game. And Lachie Neale also got 3 votes in the finals leaderboard as well. But guys, I did want to save a little bit to the end of this review just to thank you all for the support that we've seen over the AFL season. I really do appreciate all the support. My brother does as well. I think we had like 200, 300 subscribers from the start of the season, and now we're over 2,000. So thank you so much for the support this season. And we're not ending the content just here. There will be video essays coming out until the start of next season. We'll obviously be doing the podcast every single week like always. We may have a couple of weeks off around Christmas, maybe. We'll see how we go. But we'll be bringing back the World Sports segment in our Boundary Riders podcast as well. And of course, with the trade period coming up as well, we'll be covering that and talking about a lot of trade rumors and that throughout the next couple of weeks. But guys, with that being said, thank you so much for this year. Really do appreciate it. Make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you're over on YouTube. And if you're listening to this over on Spotify, make sure to leave us 5 stars and also make sure to follow so you're notified on the podcast every single week. And of course, the review will be coming back next year, so make sure to follow for that. But again, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Thank you so much for this great season of AFL footy, and we'll catch us all next time.